Make sure we've all got you on there. So Simone, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really excited because you really cover so much, from the artist to the composer to the music supervisor, and do it all. So I think that everybody can relate to what you have to say, and you have so much insight through this, through your background.
Sure, my pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm just going to dive into some questions and have people ask questions as they normally do at the end. We're going to listen to a couple of songs that you're going to give feedback on.
Sure.
And we'll do that from there. So why don't you start by just letting everybody here know who you are, what you do, and your background.
Sure. So I am the head of the music department / in-house composer at Ant Farm, which is an advertising agency. And the bread and butter historically has been basically cutting in-house theatrical trailers, advertising campaigns for movies. We've done a lot of video games, and quite a bit of TV promos as well for certain networks. And then in the last couple of years, we've been expanding and doing a lot of other things that they are a bit unorthodox, different than the typical film trailer world, which is a lot of fun because obviously creatively sparks a lot of new, different ideas.
Yeah.
And so I'm the head of the music department. We have 2 music supervisors that work for me. As the in-house composer, originally write music for whatever campaign we're working on when it's needed. And then I also produce artists and singers, depending. Sometimes we create covers for trailers. As you all know, it's a very, very effective way to help sell a movie. And it's obviously a very strong trend happening. Not right now, but it's been for a while, and it doesn't seem like to be stopping anytime soon. So that's kind of like in 2 seconds what we do and what I am about.
And where did you start out? How did you?
I studied classical piano when I was a kid, from 4 years old until yesterday morning. And while I was studying piano, I was messing up Beethoven and Mozart and all that. And my piano teacher said that's called composition. And then I started making my own music. And fast forward to when I was 19 and I moved from Milan after I had studied at the conservatory. I moved to LA to study at UCLA music composition conducting. And then I started getting, well, before moving to LA, I played in a band for about 5-6 years, which fueled my rock pop sensibility. So I wasn't stuck in the classical world, which I didn't know, but that was such a blessing because obviously if you're just a classically trained, stuck up musicians or whatever, you don't know anything about what's Led Zeppelin and 20 years later what may be Bruno Mars or whatever, right? You're stuck in that bubble. Having had that experience allowed me to then appreciate pop music and anything else that was not classical. Let's not talk about jazz, but that's another thing that got me going later. But anyway, so which then helped me through my college years. It was very concentrated into composition and classical world without quite knowing what the film world was. And then it all kind of, all the worlds collided when I got, a long time ago, a position in the film and TV application of music. And then I've been here now at the Ant Farm for over 15 years, which is kind of unheard of. Yeah. But I have fun, so unless they kick me out, I'm not leaving. So
I love that you have fun. I think that's number one.
Oh yeah, I mean every day is a different day, and also musically speaking, I can't show you right now what I'm doing, but it's a total crazy surprise that came in this morning. I had to come in early because I knew that I had to do this, but basically I can't say it exactly, but it's orchestrating in a pretty trailer crazy way a rock piece that it's very well known by a very well known band, and if it goes through, and it's for a pretty huge movie. So if it goes through, it's totally crazy and fun.
Wow.
Yeah, fingers crossed on that. But tomorrow I'll be doing something completely different, and yesterday I guarantee I was doing something very different. So it keeps it fun and fresh, and can't complain.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of people in this class that can would really love your job, the ability to create and have such a big platform, and also being there for 15 years. How have you seen, what have the changes been that you've seen? Like, what, you say that you're working on more interesting things. Are there other ones that you can tell us about that you
Sure.
feel like this is like a turn in the industry or something?
Yeah, so, over the 15 years, there's been a lot of changes. This is very specific of the trailer world of marketing for movies in general, which may apply to you guys or some of you or may not. But, 15 years ago, if you had a movie, you had to do an advertising campaign. As you may imagine, we don't have the score for the movie when we're doing a trailer, because we're usually working on that about 9 months before the movie comes out. And the music is done about 5 minutes before it comes out, right? More or less. But so either if it was a big action orchestral type of thing, we would have to use either scores from other movies, or there were some decent production music libraries that would create music for trailers.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, songs. So back then, it was all about U2, Coldplay, and then you would find a classic rock song. If it's like a romantic comedy, it could be Motown, it could be Stevie Wonder, whatever may be the type of project, we would find a super well-known song that then which is usually take care of it by the back end, where you're supposed to lift the viewers and the audience to convince them you should see this movie, and then maybe take care of the storytelling of the beginning, the middle, and taking you up to the back end with other material.
Yeah.
Then fast forward to a few years later, not only the quality of production music expanded and became a lot higher, a lot of number of companies, there were so many companies creating fantastic music, and at the same time, needless to say, technology allowed singer-songwriters to be able to produce their own music at home in their bedroom. So it allowed for unsigned, fantastic singer-songwriters to get placements in film and TV and advertising, as you are obviously aware of, which is a fantastic way to, open up the doors to great songs. It's all about, if it's a good song and the right sound, the right lyrics, nobody cares where it comes from. There are some situations where, of course, in a big advertising campaign, they may want to have a well-known song in a trailer so people emotionally react to something they already know, because whatever emotional connection they may have with that song. So an unknown track may not have the same impact.
Yeah.
Right. They say, I want something fresh, new, that nobody's ever heard, and it does the trick perfectly, right?
Right.
Anyway, in short, things have evolved in a way that allowed new artists to have a spot in the sunshine,
Yeah, right. Okay, so interesting that you've really been able to see how it's progressed and how it's evolved. And so would you have an idea of like what you think the trends are right now, musically or sonically, or are there trends, or is it?
So, I could talk about, my bubble of trailers, which is my expertise, and then I'm sure is a bit different from other specifics, like, TV. It might be different in TV, and promos may be different than what a trailer does for a feature film and so forth. But, maybe this is a good opportunity to talk about something that it may not be new to all of you, but again, the concept of covers.
Mm-hmm.
If we use the word trend and we don't talk about covers, would be a huge mistake. It is a huge trend. It's extremely powerful. It's extremely, well, in a way, it benefits you in a sense that you're singer-songwriters that perhaps are still unknown to the general public, and it allows you to have a voice to the general public using a piece of music that it's already been written, that of course has its own inherent value. Okay, now the trick is basically it's about finding the thinking about coming up with the idea, which is the $1 million idea of the right song that is globally well known, instantly recognizable, that has lyrics that work really well. Let's stick to my bubble, for trailers to sell a movie, and they just in a short little bite they tell you exactly what the story needs to be, or the message, or the content is, without some long convoluted thing that, unless you actually pay attention to the whole song, in trailers you get 5 seconds of lyrics just to cut through during the moment, and then there's a bunch of talking, action, yada, yada, yada. But to have that bite that hits you in the face with the right message lyrically, and of course tonally and emotionally and all that, is the key. And then the other aspect of it is how to take a well-known song that we all have heard and kind of either reinvent. It's not about doing a re-record, it's about doing a reinvention, a reiteration, like completely. It's not a cover just to say, oh, I took this song that I love by the Beatles and I re-record it. It's probably not as good as the Beatles, right? So why do that? No offense to whatever brilliant idea it could be, but it's, it's a bit sensitive, especially actually if it's a huge song. If it's really well known and loved by anyone, most people would go, ugh, I kind of liked Queen better, or whatever. So, but if you take it upside down, like one example, for example, that we just did recently was for the teaser of Blair Witch Project, which in the teaser, we didn't even call it the Blair Witch Project #2 title. It was called The Woods. And it's a suspense thriller horror, of course, kind of situation. And one of the editors was talking about there's a lot of breathing and there's a lot of running and there's a hunting situation and people chasing and they go into a cave. It's obviously you can imagine the type of movie, not my favorite, but anyway. And right away, the first lyric that popped in my head was Every Breath You Take.
Oh, yeah.
As we know, that song is super light and cute and sweet, and we all know it. Everybody had, but if you just strip away Sting and the Police and everything else, you go Every Breath You Take, every move you make, I'll be watching you. It's haunting. Obviously about obsession and about chasing somebody down, kind of a thing. Could be in a love way, but could be also in a creepy, effed up way. So,
scary way.
So we did a scary, dark, very minimal. And one of my good friend singers, actually one of my music supervisors, sang it, and it was super minimal, very breathy, and very creepy. And I did a very simple orchestration with a lot of sound design and lots of reverb, piano, single notes, and it turned out great because it served the purpose of scaring the shit out of you. And at the same time, you go, wait, what is this song? I heard and then you kind of get it. And then you have that's amazing. That's a great idea. And hopefully got some asses in the seats and people go see the movie. That's the end of the story, right?
Yeah.
So that's that's what I mean by taking a song and put it upside down rather than just doing straight up re-record.
Yeah, that's a big difference. I see that in some of the things that are turned in, just re-recording something rather than, making it your own and offering something different. So,
and sometimes the direction is suggested by the lyrics. What is the message of the lyrics? So you pick the song. What are the lyrics really saying? So Every Breath, like again, using that example, it sounds creepy. So let's take it that direction, right? To give a completely different idea, which may spark other ideas, something was done for The Great Gatsby, was taking the turtles happy together, done by Filter in a very rocking, heavy, pissed off way, where it's like happy together. Dun, dun. So it's like it's not happy together. There's a lot of issues in the relationship. There's a lot of clashing. It's not happy together, right? But the lyrics are telling you that, but the music is telling you angst and tension and all that.
Yeah, yeah. So creative and so fun to be able to experiment.
So that's and you know, I can only imagine. I'm not sure how many people are logged in, but everybody, I know that for every word that I say, everybody's thinking about their own. What do they do? Like, oh well, but I don't know. I'm just throwing something out there. Oh, I'm a folky singer-songwriter with an acoustic guitar. Well, you could take a Johnny Cash song type of idea and do it in a different way, or you can take, I don't know, like an electronica DJ, you know, Rihanna song and turn it into an acoustic, beautiful, emotional thing, right?
Yeah. Oh, I love that suggestion, making it really real for all of us.
Or whatever it's you. Like, don't try to be Hans Zimmer if you are Bob Dylan, right? So just kind of stick to, I probably am going to say this again throughout this conversation, but like, and that's what I've been saying, and probably you're tired of hearing this from
no way.
People, but do what you do and do it right and focus on what you're really good at. Trying to be something else just because the market asks for that, it's a waste of time. And again, it's probably somebody else is better at that than you.
That is really such key advice and so clearly heard, I think, by everybody here. You know, it's frustrating to try to follow all the trends and try to be something that you're not, but really hone in on what it is that you do and do that. And it's really assuring to hear it from you. And
connecting the two dots, it's really like, if the idea is, how can I, so you asked me what are the trends, and I said covers, and then I'm saying do what you do. Well, obviously the two things go together.
Right.
If you need to create a cover to satisfy what are the trends, you know, you make music that you love, that you are really good at, in your way, perhaps, you know, getting inspired by, you know, taking another song that it's already been done and reinventing it in your way. So the two things kind of collide in a good way. Yeah. So keeping in mind what is needed and being you. So the two meet. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I don't know if you can see there's like a little chat section happening. So people are commenting on some of the things. Oh, I didn't have it on. Am I supposed to read while I'm talking? No, you don't have to. But just if you wanted to, they're there. And so Daniel asked, what is the best way to go about getting the rights to submit a cover or to a music supervisor? Do they need to do that, or is that kind of the music supervisor's job on the other end to try to get the rights? Oh, don't worry about that at all. That is our job, and it's our responsibility, and our not risk, but it's basically, so for you to create a cover, you have every right in the world to take any songs and do whatever the hell you want. It comes, the questionable moment happens when that song you created, it's in my hands, and then I put it against a picture, and then I have to get the rights permission. And because I'm an agency, it actually falls back into my client's responsibility, technically. Oh, interesting. Because then I send in a cue sheet, and I say, this is written by Daniel, and it's a cover by the Beatles, and Daniel's email is this, and you know how to get the Beatles publishing. And then the portion that is a bit of a risk is that your song could be licensed as you own the master, of course, and the Beatles own the publishing. The Beatles publishing could be $250,000, and they may not want to spend that kind of money if it's not a big campaign. If it is, there was actually it wasn't a cover, it was a remix on the trailer for Valerian of the Beatles. But anyway, so just worry about the fact that you own the master, you control your recording, and the good thing is that my clients will not have to pay the master of the Beatles, so they're saving 50% of the expenses. Yeah. Hopefully you're not as expensive as the Beatles, so hopefully they get a good song. By the way, I can't talk about numbers, but the situation with the police, with the Every Breath You Take, I thought that Sting's number would have been astronomical to the point that would make the whole deal fall apart. That was my risk, but it all worked out. I can't really get into details, but it was one of those situations that could have been a risk, right? That they said, yeah, I don't want to spend that kind of, but it all worked out. So
that's great to know and hear. I think we get that question that comes up a lot, and to hear it, firsthand as you're working with that every day is great. What are the top 5 lyrical themes needed for short 5-second lyrical messages that you were just talking about? Or do you?
Oh, great. So for sure, okay, let me give you a couple of general ideas. It can't be too specific and it can't be too general. However, there is a common denominator between most movies that, for example, the first lyric that pops in my mind is changes. David Bowie, Changes. Like it's about things happening in life that in every movie, there's always a turning point of something, right? And somebody struggling with something to get through something, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Changes is in any kind of reiteration of that word of things happening, and usually even as dark as a movie can be, usually it's never negative. Okay, so think about always positive words. Okay, even if it's don't let go or don't give up kind of message that is inspirational and uplifting in a way. It's hard to pinpoint, like, for example, Florence and the Machine, Dog Days Are Over, that was used in the Eat, Pray, Love campaign. I always go back to that example because the expression dog days are over, we know what it means, but you never thought of that as a title.
Yeah,
and how it calls out to there's going to be a better day tomorrow, right? So that's also a great message about some sort of like positive, uplifting kind of message. Other things. What else? Something about overcoming obstacles. It's always the case, and trying to get through something. Again, there's always some sort of, like in a movie storyline, there's always a mission, if you will. Even if it's a romantic situation, it's about getting through something. It doesn't have to be Mission Impossible, but it's something about there's between the main character and the potential resolution of the movie, there's always a getting through something.
Yeah.
That's and you could be obviously poetic about that, but those kind of messages be good.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So it's similar to the stuff that we talk about in writing universal lyrics that have meaning, and you can see how it works both ways. You have so many questions coming in here.
Not Dark Days Are Over, Dog Days Are Over.
Dog Days.
Yeah, by Florence and the Machine.
Yeah.
If you want to look up that trailer, was the Julia Roberts from a few years ago called Eat, Pray, Love.
So good.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure we have enough time to also talk about the composing side that you do, because I know we have a lot of composers, a lot of instrumentalists that want to create a career out of writing and composing. And what kind of advice would you have for somebody who doesn't write maybe like a song with lyrics and vocals, but is on the composition side and wants to get through there? How can they kind of leverage their songs and create, start their career there?
So I would put it in kind of two folds, I guess. If you want to be a composer in a more quote unquote traditional sense, as in, scoring something and could be a TV show, a commercial, could be, a movie. what's kind of difficult is, so you have to, the challenge is that you have to find your own voice and have your own sound, yet you're not the artiste doing whatever the hell you want. You're trying to create something for picture, and you're trying to paint emotions with music. So if you have just pick like let's just pick an indie movie, and it doesn't have to be a big action, challenging, crazy thing. Just and you think about obviously characters and development and the conversations they're having. In real life, there is no music playing in the background, right? So, but how do you? So it's all about finding ways to paint the emotions, yet you have to have your own sound. Otherwise, it becomes just white noise. That and also the reason why I'm saying is that why would a director pick you rather than all the other million composers out there, right? So the trick is finding that as a quote unquote traditional composer. Of course, we all want to pay our rent and go home with some money in our pocket. So it could be that you have a commercial, you have to score, and you just need to create a track that does the job. In that sense, and I'm going to fall into the other fold, is that sometimes that comes from temp music or ideas that, I wish I could afford this song by Beyonce, but I can't. So there's maybe a track there as inspiration. If you really get a chance to pitch and bid into advertising campaigns on certain projects, you may get a brief that has, Coldplay, Jay-Z, and I don't know, Explosion in the Skies all in one, and you go, what the hell am I supposed to think of that? So that happens quite a bit, and that really means like, okay, somebody's giving you the idea what kind of music they have on their iPhone, but that doesn't really mean anything. So there is a sad truth about, you may get a brief to say, oh, you're writing for, I don't know, a shampoo commercial, and those are the songs, which has happened to me, and they gave me literally, I think it was back, U2, Coldplay, which there's some comment, but then they went into Sigur Rós and some other completely confusing. And so you could have just said, I like music, and go ahead, write me something. That would have been the same. Yeah. Now, I use the word, so I was talking about also, if you're not, so even if you're not in the traditional classical composing kind of world, but more in the contemporary world, I just mentioned two artists who are extremely used a lot in film, TV, advertisement, indie movies, which is Explosion in the Sky and Sigur Rós, Jonzi. These kind of artists, which are instrumental, mostly, are very cinematic and very evocative of emotions because they're not trying to tell you a story with lyrics, and they're not trying to tell you a story with vocalisms and emotions through voices and singing, but through instruments. So it's kind of a beautiful combination of the contemporary quote unquote rock pop world, if you will, and the classical that does it all instrumentally, right? Or not classical, but more orchestral film music, right? And the beauty of that other group of music, if you will, is that it doesn't have to be well known. So it's not a big well-known song by Coldplay that you can't beat, okay? If it's on radio and everybody knows and everybody dances to it, you can't beat that, because in my world, people are going to use that because it's well known, not because it's better than yours, just because it's well known.
Right.
This bubble of music, it doesn't matter what it is, and it doesn't matter if Jimmy, did it in some garage, wherever. If it sounds good and it has, and so let's talk about that for a second. The cinematic and the emotions and all that also have to be stretched in a very dynamic way. It's not about tripping out for 10 minutes on a piece of music that is not really doing much, is not the Radiohead type of thing. It's about creating again, almost like a score that builds, especially in the trailer world. It's about creating moments and dynamics that grow over a short period of time, because, you know, we're not scoring an old indie movie. In my world, we're doing a 2-minute trailer that needs to punch in the face. And actually, one perfect example is you could take a well-known track by Explosion in the Sky. I think it's called First Breath After Coma. You could take the one that was used also, I think that's actually from Yonzi. I forgot who it was, called Festival. But that was used in the end of the movie with James Franco, where he's stuck with the rock, like 127 hours, something like that.
Oh, yeah.
If you look at those specific pieces, they're incredible. They're very emotional, very evocative, but they are almost like 7 minutes long, and there's no really editing point. So taking that idea and condense them into something powerful, that'd be fantastic.
Wow.
Anyway, that was a long answer. Sorry.
No, it's a great answer. I think it's really inspiring for people to hear from that perspective. So
Sure.
Would you have, like, how can you get your foot in the door as, you know, if you want to be composing for something like this, or if you have like a ton of instrumentals already and you want to figure out what, you know, who should you pitch them to? What should you do with them?
Well, I always say the best way to get the foot in the door is to create amazing music, because if there are smart music supervisors out there, they want to hear good music.
Mm-hmm.
And without sounding like an asshole, I get tons of music every single day, which is really not good. It's not ready. It's not either. It doesn't speak to me, so I can't do anything with it,
Mm-hmm.
or it doesn't work for what I'm working on, not just at the moment, but in general. If it's something that it works for something, but I don't have a project right now, trust me, I'll save it and it'll get used eventually. So it's about writing good music, and that sounds so stupid, right? Like, well, sure, write good music.
No, that's really
don't write bad music, right? But what I want to focus on is the craft. And I think, Simone, we talked about this before, about the craft. And it's a lot of people, they get through a song and they go, I got a song. Hey, those are the lyrics. This is my chords. I got the song. Is it the best song you could possibly write? Is there anything you could do about it to fix it and make it even better? Are you sure that the structure is the right structure? Is the lyrical message clear and universal? I mean, look, it could be also a very personal song, but is it as best as it can be? Are you sure you're working 100% at your craft? And I've used this example before, like the Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hours. It takes a lot of time, a lot of practice, and it takes many years to get to a point of saying, I'm good at this. And I'm not just talking about music. It could be building a table, building a house, painting, anything, right? It's about the craft. And you have to, my opinion is that you got to keep working at it constantly, because it gets better and better and better. We all see it in front of our own eyes. And from the first day you picked up your instrument, you sucked at it, and then you got better, and now you're really good. Well, then about songwriting, and then about, you know, lyrics writing and all that. So back to your question, I would say keep working on it, but on a practical note, enough with the bullshit, how do you get your music in front of people that could help you get it placed in film and TV? I think the best, I always said this before, you can get my email from Sonnet and Kathy. I'm always open to listen to everything. I don't necessarily answer all the emails right away or ever, but if it's something that sparks my inspiration, or I react well, I mean, this is just on a selfish level. If I love it, I want it. I want more, because it's part of my job. If it's a good song, but it doesn't do much to me, it may work for somebody else. And please do not take, I mean, I'm a very direct person, as you can tell, but I don't take it offensive in a way that it could be that it's a great song that could work beautifully in a scene at the end of a TV show. Like, it could happen tomorrow. If I didn't like it or I didn't respond to it, it's just because of me and my world.
Right.
I've seen situations where I say, you know what, and actually I love connecting people with people, because sometimes I hear something and go, not for me, but this could work really well for you, and I forward it to somebody else. So email me your 3 best songs. That's one way. Besides me,
big way. Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah. Besides that, it's tough. I mean, you're aware that you're competing with so many people out there. I think also, like, creating a very clean SoundCloud page that kind of says who you are with a nice picture to get a sense of what's the story. And then if in the group that is listening right now, there's one of you that is kind of like a jack of all trades that does this, that, like a lot of different things, I think it would work against you, and it would be confusing to put a lot of different things that don't work with each other. If you give me a hip hop track and a punk rock track and a jazzy track, I go, yeah, you did 3 things, but who are you? I don't get you.
Yeah.
And I want to know, okay, you know, Christina is really good at this. And I'll think about Christina when that comes up.
Right.
And if I had Jimmy that gave me 14 different things, like, yeah, okay, they all sound okay, but I'm never remembering you because I've heard punk and I've heard jazz and I've heard hip hop, but I'm not going to connect to Jimmy, you know?
Right.
And if Christina gave me 3 acoustic guitar song, singer-songwriter thing that they are amazing, I go, oh yeah, Christina was really good at that. Maybe she could do a great rendition of blah, blah, blah. So.
That's such good advice. I think that comes up all the time. You know, people want to do everything so that they can fit every need, but really it just is, you have nothing to hold on to when you get something like that. So that is such great advice to hear from you. And I love everything you have to say. I think that everybody has these questions and are trying to figure out how to get in the door. And I think something that we talked about also is, like, you know, honing your craft and really paying attention to that, doing the work and going to school to learn, you know, your music theory. And if you want to be on the instrumental composing side, having that background so that you can do anything, or, you know, you can really dive in and do what it is that you hear. So I just want to thank you for really illustrating that in such a clear and concise and informative way for everybody here. And then we have a couple of songs for you to listen to, because it's already like 11:40. And I mean, I think we could just talk to you all day long because you have so much. But you have big projects to work on. I got shit to do. Let's get to these songs.
Yeah.
And hopefully we get to hear what this big fun project is one day soon.
Yeah. I hope so too.
Yeah. So I'm just going to post the link
on the chat,
and then you can play it from your side.
Okay.
I'm just pulling up the link. Okay. First one is here. Here you go. First one.
Okay.
Can you feel it? Hey, can you feel it? Hey, can you feel it? Hey. I caught the news this morning. Symptoms is coming. Looking forward. Oh, Christmas morning. I'm gonna light a fire and wrap you up inside this sweetness. Oh yeah. So you can suck a little kiss if you want to. Got some mistletoe, some Christmas is coming your way. Your way. Ooh. Can you feel Christmas coming your way? 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 Christmas is coming your way. Can you feel Christmas is coming your way? Can you feel Christmas is coming your way? Can you feel it?
That's great. So, so Christmas, it's an interesting subject. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm just gonna unmute Ugana.
Okay.
Ugona. I never know how to say your name, but you're unmuted, so you can communicate too.
Okay. So obviously, with Christmas songs, most placements are well-established, well-known songs, Christmas songs. For a new Christmas song to pop up, it takes, I don't know what's the magic effect. I'm sure everybody wants to write the next All I Want for Christmas Is You or or the next classic, right? It's challenging. I mean, the other kind of difficult thing is that some Christmas songs are public domain. I know some are not, and they're expensive. So some, like, I could see that song in a, I don't know, Target commercial if they don't want to spend the money on a well-known song that everybody, they just could say, oh, I want a Christmas feel song. So in a way, I see the place for it. In the trailer world, if we want to use a Christmas song, we go all out, and it's the big, well-known track that everybody's got. Maybe it's a different rendition or whatever. And then, so just discussing about the Christmas aspect of it. The song itself is good, and maybe there's too much reverb on the vocals, on the production level. I could hear it to be a little bit more modern and contemporary. It sounded to me a little dated as far as the sound, and not necessarily sure if it is intentional to be retro, or you're planning on redoing it in a more current way. It doesn't have to be like crazy produced in any specific new way. It doesn't have to be trap or but it could be a little bit more fresh and new sounding.
Yeah.
That's a couple of things. Any specific questions or thoughts behind it, or?
No, that's absolutely very helpful. I think giving it specific advice and then how it could be used is really
I definitely think that it could be used in something. It's not necessarily my need, because if I need it, I'm quoting Christmas and I gotta use the biggest song possible.
Yeah, of course.
But in a commercial or a TV show that they go, oh, I gotta make it very Christmassy and I need something, that could totally work.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Yeah. Cool. Okay, this next one is Neptune.
I think that that's a great, it has an interesting vibe to it. Let's talk about first production. I think I would mix the vocals a little bit higher and a little bit cleaner.
Okay.
And perhaps add multiple takes. When there's the solo vocal aspect, it feels so naked by itself. I would double it up or play with more effects on it, not just a reverb to make it wet, but try to play with more sounds with the vocals. It feels so too simple by itself. When the track is very moody and it's definitely a really cool vibe. The kind of chill electronic, I'm not sure if that's the right terminology for this, but that's what I'm getting at. It's a bit non-dynamic for trailers, but it could work in a kind of sexy, mysterious, kind of moody vibe. I thought it was really well produced. The intro was fantastic. I could hear that developing into more of an instrumental type of track as well. Like, by the way, when you have a piece of music like that, with no offense to remove, like, you should get used to having what if I strip out completely the vocals? Do I get an instrumental track? Like, I try to kind of not recycle, but how could it work if it wasn't a song? But if it was a moody, like, this could work in a CSI moody investigation of some sort of like sexy, mysterious situation,
Right.
Lyric also missed in the idea of, some lyrics come through pretty nicely and they could work as well to help the story. But also, like, in general, besides this song specifically, like, always think about, could I use this as an instrumental? If it doesn't work because without lyrics, that just sounds like somebody playing the guitar, then no. But this was really cool. I love the beat, and the kick was really well produced, was really nice. Good stuff. Yeah.
Nice.
I would work on the vocal track a little bit more.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's really great. Good. Really constructive feedback that you could do something with. It's really awesome. Okay, next song. This is Celia Rose. Nancy Celia Rose. So.
It should go on a second.
Roses are red, when it's all blue. The light is green, so I drive on through. Up to your door, it's painted white. When it opens up, you shine. You're like a rainbow every time you smile. You're like a rainbow, bringing on happiness is your style. You're like a rainbow, beauty is what you do. Oh, and love every color of you.
I'm gonna call. Can I come in a minute?
Come when you come, because Jason's.
Okay.
The rain comes down, and I'm feeling blue, you wrap me up.
Great. You there?
Yeah.
I think that's money. I mean, that's absolutely usable for a commercial. It's cute, it's fun, it's well produced. Lyrics are very usable for everything. I think you just made a lot of money.
Awesome. It's great.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any tips on where to go with it now? Just to
Make 10 of them.
make 10 of, what do you mean make 10 of them?
Write 10 other songs like that maybe have different tempo. Maybe it's not about roses and sunshine, but maybe about friendship. Do another one that is about being together. Do another one that is about getting through difficult times, or, stick to that fun, sweet, Little Miss Sunshine, Juno-esque type of lightness you know, and go to town with it, because that's your thing.
Thank you. Is that a song that your company would be interested in using, or is it someone else that you know would be interested in that kind of song?
Most likely commercials, I would say. It will be. It doesn't fit trailers.
Yeah.
But for sure, commercial selling products for sure.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yep.
Are you okay on time? We have 2 more.
I'll do one more.
Okay. I know we're over time here. So this one is Daniel Gates, and it's Silver. I think it's an instrumental.
I think that's great. I would say, first of all, it's a good atmospheric piano piece. It could work in a scene. Production value wise, I would say that I would work a little bit, be more careful on the pedal. Like it sounds to me, I'm a pianist, so I'm kind of very keen to hear if the pedal is used properly. It seems to me you're holding the foot down too long. I would also work on the recording session to make sure that maybe it's a little bit less reverb and a little bit more. I mean, you could add delays and reverbs later, but the session itself should be recorded a little bit more tight. I don't know if it's a real piano or not. Just like in the quality of piano, if you think about also like some other composers that they use, Ludovico Einaudi or other piano players that, or even Philip Glass, Max Richter, a lot of these composers, the production value on the recording sessions is incredible. So definitely work on that. And then on the composition itself, I hear a potential theme in it, but it almost sounded like it could be, like it sounded almost like an instrumental of a song, but it's missing a melodic line to take me through. But it was nice.
Key.
It was nice. But I would work on it and work also on, practice piano a million hours a day, because that's your thing. So back to what I was saying before about the crafts and all that. So
such good advice. Thank you. I know you have to go. Let us let you go. Thank you so much for spending so much time with us and sharing so much information that really everybody in this class can apply in different ways to the whatever that they want to do in this music world. So thank you so much, Simone.
My pleasure.
We're so lucky.
Good luck and keep up with the good work.
All right. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.